Ever wondered about the secrets held by the majestic Mount Shasta? This towering natural landmark is tucked in the southern reaches of the Cascade Range in Northern California. It's a sight to behold, standing tall and proud as the second highest peak in the Cascades and the fifth highest in California. Its elevation, a remarkable 14,179 feet. But this mountain isn't just about height and physical prowess. It's a geographical marvel with a story that's as layered as the stratified rock it's made of. Its location in the Pacific Ring of Fire adds a dynamic element to its geology, contributing to its volcanic activity and shaping its unique landscape. But Mount Shasta isn't just a geographical wonder. It's a tapestry woven with threads of history, legend, and culture. Mount Shasta's grandeur is just the tip of the iceberg, a surface introduction to its deep-seated history and legends. The tale of Mount Shasta starts about 593,000 years ago. This majestic mountain has a complex geological history, shaped as it is by the forces of fire and ice. As a stratovolcano, Mount Shasta's form has been molded by countless layers of lava flows, ash, and other volcanic materials ejected during periods of eruption. Over the millennia, this raw material has been arranged into the towering peak we see today. And what a peak it is! The mountain's current shape owes much to the last ice age. The glaciers that once covered the region carved out the mountain's distinctive features, like a sculptor chiseling a block of stone. These icy architects also gave birth to the smaller peaks that accompany Mount Shasta, creating a landscape that is as varied as it is beautiful. But this mountain isn't just a geological marvel. It's also a place steeped in human history. Long before the first Europeans set foot on this continent, Mount Shasta was home to the native tribes of Northern California. The Shasta, Modoc, and Wintu peoples were the earliest known inhabitants of the region, and their presence here stretches back thousands of years. Archaeological evidence, including tools and pottery shards, have been discovered that attest to the long-standing relationship these tribes have had with the mountain. For these indigenous peoples, Mount Shasta wasn't just a source of natural resources or a landmark for navigation. It was a central part of their world, a place imbued with spiritual significance and cultural meaning. They saw in its towering peak and verdant slopes a reflection of their beliefs and traditions. They viewed Mount Shasta as a sacred place, a dwelling of the divine, and a symbol of their connection to the land. The indigenous tribes saw more than just a mountain in Mount Shasta. They saw a living entity, a part of their history, and a witness to their lives, and in doing so, they laid the foundations for the rich tapestry of stories and legends that would come to be associated with this incredible mountain. For the indigenous tribes, Mount Shasta held a sacred aura. This was not just a mountain, but a spiritual entity, a revered deity standing tall, whispering tales of lore and tradition through the rustling of its ancient trees and the whispering of its icy winds. The native tribes of Northern California, including the Shasta, Modoc, and Wintu peoples, saw in Mount Shasta a sacred nexus, a place of power, and a dwelling of gods and spirits. The mountain was not merely a part of their physical landscape, but an integral component of their spiritual cosmos. It was a place where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds blurred, where the divine and mortal realms intertwined, and where the past, present, and future were all one continuous cyclical flow. Mount Shasta featured prominently in the cultural narratives and oral traditions of these tribes. It was a stage for their creation myths and ancestral stories, a sanctuary for their spiritual practices, and a symbol of their cultural identity. The mountain was a living, breathing entity, its moods mirrored in the changing seasons, its wisdom encapsulated in its enduring presence, its spirit resonating in the hearts of the people who revered it. Beyond its spiritual significance, Mount Shasta was a source of sustenance and survival for these tribes. Its lush forests provided timber and game, its mineral-rich soils nourished their crops, and its pure, sparkling streams quenched their thirst. The mountain, in its majestic grandeur, was a benevolent provider, a guardian spirit, and a symbol of the tribe's intimate relationship with nature. Even today, the indigenous narratives of Mount Shasta continue to echo in the mountain's winds, resonate in its streams, and whisper in its ancient forests. These stories underscore the mountain's role in shaping not just the physical, but the spiritual and cultural ethos of the local tribes, embedding Mount Shasta deeply in the cultural fabric of the region. The arrival of European explorers brought a new chapter to Mount Shasta's history. But the mountain's indigenous significance, its sacred aura, and its spiritual resonance remain an integral part of its enduring legacy, a testament to a time when humanity and nature were one, and the mountain was the heart of all existence. The 19th century marked a significant turning point in the history of Mount Shasta. European explorers, in pursuit of new territories and resources, set their sights on the majestic peak. It was in the early 1820s when European Americans first laid their eyes on this towering spectacle during expeditions led by the Hudson's Bay Company. As word spread of the mountain's grandeur and the potential riches in its vicinity, Mount Shasta became a beacon for settlers during the California gold rush in the mid-1800s. The allure of gold and the promise of a fresh start drew countless individuals looking to stake their claim and carve out a new life in the shadow of Mount Shasta. This influx of settlers laid the groundwork for the establishment of Siskiyou County, with the town of Shasta Springs emerging as a bustling hub for tourism and commerce. These developments marked a new era for Mount Shasta, intertwining its narrative with that of American expansionism and exploration. The mountain's majestic presence, once revered by indigenous tribes, now served as a backdrop to a thriving community of settlers, forever altering its historical and cultural landscape. Yet, Mount Shasta was not just a beacon for settlers, but also a focal point for legends and mysteries. As we delve deeper into the mountain's rich tapestry of stories, we'll uncover a world that blurs the boundaries between the physical and the mystical, the historical and the legendary. Mount Shasta has been a magnet for tales of the mystical and the extraordinary. This majestic peak, towering over the landscape of Northern California, has long sparked the human imagination, giving birth to a myriad of legends and myths that continue to enchant us. Perhaps the most famous of these is the legend of the Lemurians. These are said to be the last survivors of a lost advanced civilization that once inhabited the sunken continent of Lemuria. According to the lore, the Lemurians found refuge in the inner chambers of Mount Shasta, where they continue to live in peace, hidden from the modern world. They are believed to possess advanced technologies and spiritual wisdom, and there have been claims of encounters with these elusive beings over the years, further fueling the intrigue around Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is also a hotbed for reports of UFO sightings. The mountain's mysterious aura and its isolation from urban centers make it an ideal backdrop for such narratives. There are stories of strange lights dancing over the peak, of silvery discs hovering in the sky, and tales of contact with extraterrestrial beings. Whether these accounts are true or the product of vivid imaginations, they add another layer to the mountain's mystique. These tales of Lemurians and UFOs are not just isolated anecdotes, they represent a broader pattern of spiritual and metaphysical fascination with Mount Shasta. Over the years, the mountain has attracted spiritual seekers, mystics, and believers in the paranormal, all drawn by its reputed energies and its legendary inhabitants. It has been described as an energy vortex, a spiritual power spot, and even a gateway to other dimensions. These legends and beliefs, as fascinating as they are diverse, contribute to Mount Shasta's enduring allure. They transform the mountain from a mere geographical feature into a canvas for our collective dreams, fears, and aspirations. Today, Mount Shasta stands not just as a historical and legendary landmark, but also as an ecological treasure. In the present day, Mount Shasta is a symbol of natural splendor and recreational bliss. Its soaring peak and expansive wilderness are part of the Shasta Trinity National Forest, a haven for biodiversity and an oasis for those seeking solace in nature's embrace. This majestic mountain, with its snow-capped summit and alpine forests, draws outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe, eager to test their mettle against its challenging trails or enjoy the serene beauty of its slopes. Hiking, skiing, mountaineering, the mountain's diverse terrain offers a myriad of opportunities for adventure and exploration. Yet, the popularity of Mount Shasta is not without its challenges. The footprints of human activity, while often light, can accumulate, threatening the very beauty that draws us to this place. It is here that the crucial work of conservation comes in. Efforts are ongoing to balance the public's access to this natural wonder with the imperative of protecting its unique environment. Conservationists, park officials, and local communities are all working together to ensure that Mount Shasta's natural splendor is preserved for generations to come. Mount Shasta continues to be a bridge between the past and the present, a testament to natural beauty, cultural continuity, and spiritual significance. It stands as a silent sentinel, a reminder of our shared heritage and our collective responsibility to safeguard our planet's treasures.